situation, how do you see sales activity shaking out in the first and second quarter?
Well, by and large, David, we're looking at up to double-digit declines with respect to order activity, looking into 2009. The business 2 years ago was significantly different. We were still looking at a very robust environment. I would say about a year ago, we saw some signs of waning shipping activity from the manufacturers to the retailers. Okay. Then it's gotten progressively more challenged as time has gone on. And yes, up until today, January comp store sales, were somewhat, disappointing. And we see continual softness probably up into, the last quarter of this year in that area, as far as we can see, because we see the order activity that happens, today for goods that to be delivered in the summer and in the second and third quarters and somewhat into the fourth quarter of the season. The interesting thing is that a lot of vendors, manufacturers, have migrated to factors. So the factoring volume, particularly for us and I think other factoring companies, has to be up significantly because people are looking for factors to protect them as to this ever-changing environment we're in today.
So what would you say are the biggest benefits that factors bring to manufacturers?
Well, the biggest benefit is, number one, the insight and the credit protection that factors provide, number one. Number two, factors typically get paid cleaner and better from the retailer than an individual vendor or manufacturer could otherwise obtain. In addition to that, factoring is a form of asset-based lending, so the manufacturer has the ability to not only outsource his receivables to the factor, but has the ability to use the factor as their bank and borrow against receivables and inventory, another type of collateral that the factor would find acceptable.
Is this business model good for all types of manufacturers, or are there certain sectors that are more suited to this?
It works very well with apparel, with home furnishings, footwear, jewelry products, electronics, and so forth. That's really the bulk of the factors, or the large part of the factors' sweet spot. There are other industries that people certainly do use factors, but typically that's really what the factors are known for in those industry groups.
What happens in a situation where the retailer files for bankruptcy? How does this affect the factor and the manufacturer?
Well, in the event of a bankruptcy or a financial failure, the factor, provided that he guaranteed or he assumed the credit risk for that particular retailer, then the factor is obliged to pay their client for that bad debt loss. And in many cases, post DIP, while in bankruptcy, the retailer certainly looks to the manufacturers to continue to deliver goods to them. So the factor now looks at the financial condition while the retailer is operating in bankruptcy to determine the credit worthiness of that particular retailer. So it works pre and post bankruptcy. It does.
Michael, how are you managing risk in today's difficult environment?
Well, we're being, frankly, much more interactive with the top management at the retail store, on the financial side, the CFOs and the like. And we were able to get a lot better, quicker information, from those CFOs in the form of their performance, their future performance, and so forth. So pound for pound, factors generally were able to enlarge the credit. Why? Because they have better access and more timely access to information. An individual vendor may not be able to get quite as much in-depth information from the retailers, and hence that's why the factors do a better job. And the cost of factoring is really today one of the best commercial bargains that we're finding.
Michael, thank you very much for your time, and thanks for stopping by.
David, my pleasure.